afternoon, everyone. My name is Camilla Neese, and with me today I have
Dana Silverblatt.
Taylor Levy.
Eric Osbush.
And Michelle Gonzalez.
and we will be talking to you about recruitment. Our agenda consists of the recruiting process, organizational recruiting considerations, internal and external recruiting, challenges and constraints in recruiting, and lastly, the evaluations of the recruiting process. I will start off with talking to you about the recruiting process. So the definition for recruiting is the process of creating a reasonable pool of qualified candidates for a job opening. That is the first step in matching the employee with a job, and it's a lot more than just hiring. There is external forces that influence recruiting. The two largest ones are the labor market and the social and legal environment. So, for example, the EO, and then avoiding discrimination at any cost. In the labor market, supply and demand is the potential employees available versus the jobs that are available in the marketplace, and it's a lot easier to recruit when there's a lot of people and a large pool of people who would really want that job. The unemployment rate is also tied to supply and demand. So first you identify the recruiting areas, so local, regional, or national, and then you can identify the unemployment rate from there. High unemployment usually means that it's easier to recruit. And then competitors also need to be considered. So a lot of times if you have more or stronger competition, that means it's a lot more difficult to recruit because they're looking for talent in the same area as you. So you really need to make sure you're a step ahead of everyone else. The social and legal environment is related to the workforce composition. So the laws and regulations need to be followed, of course. And knowing employee needs is also very important because you kind of want to target to them and have them come to your company. The recruitment process, the first step is the job analysis, as we heard in the last presentation that we had. It's really the stepping stone for all the other steps that come after that, and it establishes and documents all the employment procedures going on after that. There's 4 additional steps. So the first is sourcing. That is really finding candidates through various channels like the internet, newspaper, billboards, anything like that. And you take in resumes and kind of applicants as well, going on from there. The next step is recruiting. So that is determining if candidates are qualified or not. So you develop a pool of candidates and you make sure that they are a good fit for the position, so you can really be successful in the company and they can be successful as a person. The third step is hiring. That includes the final interview, the job offer, pre-hire work, anything in that manner. So the necessary steps are really getting determined during that phase of the recruiting process. And lastly, we have onboarding, which is a very essential step. Obviously, there's legal stuff involved with that, so the processes are really standard, but then it's really critical to know to make sure that the employees are having a smooth transition into the new job, and the new employee performance is influenced by the onboarding process, so you really need to have good training. The attendance needs to be there, and then you can also have a 90-day review after they started the job to make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to. The recruiting objective establishes the factors relating to recruiting, so the number of applicants versus job openings, types of applicants, diversity, and KSAs, which are the knowledge, skills, and abilities of potential employees. The strategy involves the sets and target recruitments for requirements, so who to recruit to, where to recruit, and then also very important who you set as the recruiter for that. It's very important. And then the feedback is something that often gets ignored. It's very important to kind of improve your process because you have to know what you're doing wrong to kind of step in that and then improve your process going on from these steps. In conclusion, there's 4 steps to the process. The sourcing, recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. Onboarding is definitely the most essential one because it ensures the successful transition to the new position and make sure you can really implement everything that you need to for that position. External factors influence recruiting as well. That's a lot of times you can't change them, so having a solid strategy and then also getting feedback can really help implement a successful recruitment strategy. Moving on, I found a study by the Pew Research Center on working parents balancing the job and family, and I found that a lot of parents really share the workload when they come home, so it's not really on just one parent. They kind of do that together. Then 46% of two-parent families, both parents work, and then in 17% they have a full-time working father and part-time working mother. So it's really important to recognize that that's common today. And big companies like Amazon and Netflix really offer benefits to those new families, but it's really important to know that it extends beyond that. So it's not only in the infancy phase, but it's also beyond that. And there still has to be a lot of work done to kind of accommodate for the work-life balance of parents nowadays. And next, Dana will be talking to you about the organizational recruiting considerations.
Thanks, Anna. Hi, I'm Dana. I'm going to talk to you about organizational recruiting. So first I'm going to tell you exactly what organizational recruiting is. So this is limitations placed by the labor market and the legal environment. So you must consider all of the factors of the internal issues, and then you need to also decide if you want to recruit internally or externally and what complications are going to come with it. Maintaining consistency is a huge part. You need to stay consistent throughout the entire time, and you must be fair and equitable and be able to defend every decision you make, because if somebody's questioned you for being unbiased, you need to be able to defend your actions. Policies to set. You need to go through the recruiting process quickly and efficiently, and you need to think about if there are alternatives and what those alternatives can be besides recruitment. You also need to ask yourself, if you must recruit, how many people are you going to be recruiting? What you need. What is your company going to provide you with? What kind of funds, what kind of employee help, and what kind of locations? Is it an individual or regular circumstance that you are recruiting under? Does this happen a lot in your company, or is this just one circumstance? Where you're recruiting. Internally, are you recruiting from within your own company, or are you recruiting externally? And if you are going outside of your company, where outside, if you're going to be doing it locally or globally, or within your own ranks and you're just going to give somebody a promotion. When to recruit isn't as simple as you think. It's not just when somebody gets laid off or if somebody leaves your position. It also really depends on the economic state and the job market of this entire, of the experience. Experience is important. If it's a low-level job, can somebody with a high school diploma do it, or somebody who only has an internship experience? Will they need a college degree, or is it somebody who more needs a master's degree, or do they have to have years and years of experience in that specific job? Alternatives. Is there another way besides recruitment to fix the issue at hand? You need to weigh all your options. Temporary workers, if you're in a department store, can you have seasonal workers? Or is it overtime workers who you can just have the employees that you already have work a few extra hours a week and then you compensate with them? The market, depending on the market type you're in, is where you're going to get your employees. If you're in a bad market, you can get somebody who's much more experienced for a lot less amount of money. And if you're in a good market, you can't look at somebody who is just the top notch. You kind of almost need to settle. The reach of the recruiting effort. Do you plan to recruit locally? And if so, why? If not, in what particular region? In the South, in the West? And then, if so, do you want to recruit nationally or globally? And are you expanding your company? Is it necessary? Is it necessary to hire right now? Do you need a specialized talent, or could you get somebody who's more generalized who can do a bunch of different occupations? And also, do we need to spend that much money on one specific person, or how much money are they giving us to do the whole recruitment process? Staying local is a blessing. You do save time and money for your employees, for yourself, for your HR department, and also for your future employees. You're saving time on travel, hotels, and food. Everyone here has social media. Social media is a huge part nowadays of the recruiting force. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these are all recruitment tools used, and they cost very little to no cost at all. It's different than the past few decades and how the recruitment period worked when our parents were growing up. You're not recruiting at newspapers or in television. There still are career fairs, but there are other ways to do so. You have hundreds and thousands of applicants compared to 30 or 40, and now not everybody is qualified for them. Facebook. Pretty much everyone has a Facebook. There's 1.23 billion active users every day. This is a global networking site. It's a high level of job recruitment, and it provides them with job descriptions and company performance. LinkedIn is much newer. There's 225 million users, and it's more of a professional site to be connected and to get connected with people. It is actually used by 90% of Fortune 100 firms to consider new employees. Prospective employers help. Social media helps people who are potential employees get a better idea of what the company is exactly and if they're interested in that specific job application. It lessens the interview process, so it saves you and the potential client time making introductions, all about who you know and about who you get to know. That's why on social media it says who you're also connected with and who mutual friends are. It's something that you shouldn't take for granted, and you also can set up events or like posts that you would be interested in. Information never dies. Once something's on the internet, it's always going to be out there. So all posts need to be professional and everything needs to grammatically be correct. You also can be held liable for false advertisement. So if something you post is illegal, it can come back to bite you. There are always problems with social media as well as other recruiting sites. It can be dangerous. There's something called the gold plate where somebody said that they were discriminated against for being Muslim compared to Caucasian in their Facebook bio, and that's why they didn't get the interview. For New and You, I just did how I was recruited this summer. I got recruited for when I was lifeguarding, and I ended up doing real estate, and that's where I'm going to be working after college. Next is Taylor talking about internal and external recruiting.
Thank you, Dana. I'll be talking about internal and external recruiting. So to begin with, we'll talk about internal recruiting. Gives existing employees and volunteers at that specific company the opportunity to apply for this job opening. Internal recruiting can include promotions to a higher level position or even lateral moves to the same level position within this organization or workplace. Talk about the benefits of internal recruiting. Management already has a good idea of the employees and their capabilities. It reduces the time spent and the cost. It supports positive morale and employee retention in the organization. Drawbacks of internal recruiting are, if it's used in isolation, provides a limited number of people to select from, reduces the opportunity for increasing diversity within the organization, and it's high for employee dissatisfaction if they do not get the position. A type of internal recruiting is employee referrals, which allows existing employees to recommend potential candidates from their network. With this, you need to make sure that you treat all candidates fair and respond in a timely manner. Benefits of employee referrals is people only refer other candidates knowing if they're a good match for the position. And some of them even will have an understanding of the workplace and organization already. Drawbacks of employee referrals is the feeling that you need to hire these candidates even if they are qualified for the position. And they also come from similar backgrounds, which reduces diversity in the workplace. Now, external recruiting is the assessment of an available pool of job candidates other than existing staff to see if there are any sufficiently skilled or qualified to fill and perform existing job vacancy. It's the process searching outside of the current employee pool for the organization. Benefits of external recruiting are it pulls in a large amount of applicants. It's a fresh outlook to stay competitive and motivated, and it also brings in a lot of diversity as well. Drawbacks of external recruiting are it's very costly, it takes a lot of time, and most employees could be dissatisfied coming from the outside of the organization. A type of external recruiting is print advertisements, which can be in national or local newspapers, posted on bulletins, professional journals, or magazines. These reach a large audience geographically and also a large audience for a certain skill set. Internet recruiting is another one, which is posted on internet job board or website. It's cost-effective, time-effective, and convenient for both the recruiter and recruitee. But with that comes a large number of applicants, making the process a little harder just to shift through. Career fairs and outreach programs are another external recruitment, which is informally connecting with interested candidates. These interested candidates usually are readily available to work. Sometimes the problem with that is you're looking for something in specific and they don't have them when there's a lot of people coming in. Networking and liaison involves reaching out to the existing network for recommendations, efforts to build or increase current networks with hopes of connecting with new potential employees. Next, internal and external recruiting, you need to develop a job posting, which is when a recruiter alerts current employees or the public, being internal or external, of an immediate or future job opening within that company.